So, okay, now I'm introducing to you what is really a cornerstone article in my astrogeographical blog, and it's on the role of Scorpio as the most important astrological resonating sign of sculpting of the aspects of art that deal with the processing of transported images, of visualization of images, of creating the structure of pieces of art, and all the different aspects of that which are necessary to get art into the form where it ends up. And look, there is a ruler, a spiritual, esoterical, there is a mythological ruler of Scorpio, not a planetary ruler, but someone or an aspect of the planetary ruler too, from Greek mythology, and it's Hephaestus, the mythical smith of the Greek gods, who lives in the underworld, works there on the fires of hell, the fires of the underworld, the magma fires, we could say. And he is related to Scorpio in a way that he is not the ruler, but he is the one who lives in the underworld. And now in processing art, there are resonances of all the different aspects of art, like even painting. But what I mean is, first of all, sculpting, photography, film, anything we do to process the imagination, the visualization, let's say, or in a surrealistic method, something even we did not visualize, but we make it an image. And all these aspects of art are ruled by Scorpio, the sign of how you say, the fixation bath that was used in ancient, in the former way, when it was not digital, when photos were still had to be developed in that way, the fixation bath of images. That is an aspect of Scorpio. And now in my astrogeographical field studies, I have come across an endless number of examples for sculptures located in Scorpio, and among them, and this article divides into several chapters, and one is statues, sculptures carved out of the rock in the place where they still stand. And that is the case in so many places that I have come to the conclusion that the resonance between places and the things that we project onto them, or the things we do there in consciously, not consciously, unconscious actually, of relating the place itself so much with the thing we do there, but doing the thing at that place, being stimulated and being inspired by places to do these particular things that we do, I have come across so many examples for that role of Scorpio that I want to make clear that this is actually, and it's my conclusion. It's not only my conclusion. I see that as a quantitative proof, yeah? And I'm trying. I mean, it's not a proof. Don't understand. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the proof is the proof and there is no exceptions or there's no other way around it. I know that, and I have come across sculpture in all kinds of signs, but the really important, the really strong examples that really relate to archetypal aspects of art, they often are presented in the sign of Scorpio, and it seems to me this is not only because of the creative process of manifesting art is strongly related to Scorpio, but it's also that these places are so close to inspiring us to visualize, to be open to visual perception more than in other places, and that this role of Scorpio is unconsciously, subconsciously, or in one way or other used by people to present art in this sign. Now I start with what I said, the chapter on statues carved out of the rock in situ, in place. I tried to do that short, but I give you a short overview. The first of these examples is the mountain sanctuary of Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. Which is the oldest temple ever found on the planet. 9,000 years before Christ, or older, and I'm sure there are older examples. I believe, at least, that there are older examples, but for art on our planet. But this is the oldest sanctuary, the oldest temple that has been found so far. And the great thing about, or the amazing thing about it, is that it combines round structures with which are filled with super large sculpted stones that contain images that have been carved out from the rock, and have been carved out from the rock here in that place, that particular place. Then I have the example of the Crazy Horse Memorial. Maybe is not as important culturally, historically, and so on, but it is also really strong in size. It is so big, yeah? And it's not finished, and it might never be finished. Yeah? But still, it is a piece of work that is so typical for being in Scorpio. Yeah? That I needed to present it here. Then I have this Shravana Belagola statue of Sri Gomateshwara in India. It's a Jain temple, and the largest freestanding rock sculpture carved out of the place in situ, in that place, right there. Yeah, and inaugurated in the 10th century. Amazing. Yeah. Then I'm getting to the Buddhas of Bamiyan. There it's Scorpio with Libra. The Sri Gomateshwara sculpture is in Scorpio with Taurus. And important about or the Taurus aspect, it can be seen in there when once every year the whole statue is bathed in milk, honey and spices to recharge it with its natural energy, or with the energy that the people need it to have, to sustain the energy flow in the land, to support their wealth, their income, their food production and so on. The Buddhas of Bamyan, that is a sad example. They were destroyed by the Taliban, completely destroyed. What we see here now is an old image, but it's still is not there anymore. What we see here, but they are carved out of the rock in place. Then I have the Sigiriya rock fortress in Sri Lanka. It's has both coordinates in Scorpio. And we get to the point that Scorpio is also the sign of demons, and that fortress is a big rock. Used to be or is said to have been to represent what was the fortress of the demon king Ravana from the Ramayana epos. Most important Hindu epos. And you see this giant lion claws sculpted out from the rock. They used to they were there to represent the fiercefulness, to threaten anyone, to create fear and awe in the people getting there, and an aspect of Scorpio also, to want to impress. And but they are carved out of the rock in situ. Then this is a 11th century BC shamanic sanctuary in today's Thracian sanctuary in today's Bulgaria. It was carved out from the rock in the form of a vagina, and is in Scorpio, the sign of sculpting, with Cancer, the sign of the uterus and the vagina. Then we have several others. I put on this list, I put also the Acoma Pueblo, just for explaining that there are so many rock fortresses that are used, and especially when they are in Scorpio, they are have been used to create fortresses to defend tribes against attacks. Now, then I get to the second chapter, the longest, long chapter, and presenting famous and interesting, colossal, monumental, large, super large, and super important sculptures. And first of all comes the Statue of Liberty, located in Scorpio with Leo. And the parallel with the Cristo Redentor statue in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, in the same signs. Scorpio, of course, a sign of presenting that visual image in a the strongest possible way, or in a strong way. And together with Leo, the sign in the Statue of Liberty, also with the resonance of French culture. And in the Rio de Janeiro, in the Cristo Redentor statue, too. Parts of it were created in France. And then I have a third example of Scorpio with Leo. It is the largest sculpture worldwide made of God. Made of gold, and containing 5.5 tons of pure gold. where we know that Leo is the sign of gold, the sign of wanting to shine, of wanting to impress. With a different direction than Scorpio, because Scorpio wants to impress for the Scorpion has this thorn that he wants to impress with in order to defend or to make people afraid so they don't attack him. But here comes the Leo aspect together with Scorpio, and it needs to shine more than everybody else. That's why the largest amount of gold has been used to impress everybody with it. Then this is a really fascinating example, the Christ of the Abyss, an underwater sculpture near a fault line off the coast of Italy, and it is been put there by the monks of a nearby monastery, and I have the impression that is for fear of earthquakes, for fear of spirits, that they have the experience or had the experience of them coming up from the depths of that fault line. Then there's a temple in India famous for its sculptural artwork, Keshawa temple, and you can see a Vishnu temple in this, but it is in Scorpio, and not the sign, actually sign of the Shivaite creed, not so much of the Vaishnava or Vishnu devotion, but the strength of the stress, or how to say, the emphasis on sculpting work and what has been achieved, the progress and the master, how far they have got. That is a outstanding temple creation. Then there is the metamorphosis. Example of the metamorphosis sculpture, a sculpture that changes its face and can it depicts actually a head, but is with a number of stainless steel layers that can even rotate by 360 degrees, and they align every now and then to a giant head, and they are an example of composition and decomposition, of structural analysis of and that is something that you see in the art of Picasso, Scorpio, born with the sun in Scorpio, that the analysis of the structure of the visualized, or of what has been observed, that is an aspect that Scorpio seeks to do. Then we get to this freaky, let's say, Jesus Watchtower in Transylvania, Romania, located in Scorpio with Gemini. It contains ladders, and so you can climb up there and watch the surrounding literally through the eyes of Jesus. That is might be seen as a funny thing, but it's all made of metal, and metal working, metal processing, alchemy, welding, and steel. Any steel and concrete work is an allegory and is ruled by Scorpio. So we have actually a way of dealing with the subject that is more Scorpio-like than any other comparative sign resonance we could imagine. Now, this is the largest Shiva statue on the planet in Nepal, built in 2011, 44 meters tall, and Shiva, the god of the legendary drinker of the poison after the churning of the milk ocean, and the god of the darkness, the demons, the ruler of the demons and the protector against the demons. And you see the snake around his head, and he is the his main signs are Scorpio and Cancer, yeah? But he is presented in Scorpio too. Yeah? These are the kelpies, the horses sculptures in Scotland. They are in Scorpio with Sagittarius. Sagittarius sign of horses. No? Then there comes the Valley of Saints in Brittany. It's a sculpture park located in Scorpio. I don't have the image here now. Then is a Maitreya, a Buddha Maitreya sculpture, a giant one. Yeah. In Ladakh Valley, 32 meters tall, with both coordinates in Scorpio. Then there comes a Nostradamus sculpture with both coordinates in Scorpio, in Salon en Provence. Then the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao, the whole museum is a sculpture. It is made, the outside is made of metal, and it, you see that it's near the river actually, but the river leads to the harbor and to the sea of Bilbao, and it is one of the most famous museum sculptures in the world, of course. And you see that ships are the metal made of metal. Yeah? Ship construction is an aspect of Scorpio. And he is together with Pisces, a sign of the sea. Then there's this tower, supposed to be in the shape of a dragon. Dragons, reptiles are analogies of Scorpio too. And so is, of course, the sculpting, the allusion to a sculpture. The White Horse Temple, first Buddhist temple in China, with a legendary white horse named after the white horse sculpture, because the first monks are said to have come to China from India on a white horse. Then we have a sculpture named Life Underground in 14th Street, 8th Avenue subway station in New York. And you see a reptile coming out from the underworld. It's in metal, and it's a sculpting. Then we have the Kafka Monument in Prague, with both coordinates in Scorpio. The Triumph of the Republic sculpture in Paris, located between Scorpio and Sagittarius. Sagittarius a coordinate of Paris, and the many triumph, the many sculptures or that represent triumph in Paris. They are mostly in Sagittarius, the sign of triumph, like the Arc de Triomphe, for example. And but in between, this one is in between Scorpio and Sagittarius. Then the Mogao caves. That is a collection of 492 temples filled with Buddha sculptures, Buddha images, Buddha painting, and along the Silk Road, somewhere in the desert, along the Silk Road. It's located in Scorpio with Aries. Yeah. Then I use this because I think the Tom Morland interchange, because let's or simply try to imagine that also that is a sculpture. It is the Libra aspect here to be seen as Libra aspect is the symmetry attempted in it, but the fact that it's really built, attempted to build it really straight in a perfect way, perfect symmetry, even though it's not, but it's close to it. I want to recommend to see things through the eyes of this, to get to the idea what is behind sculpting. Yeah? In many ways. Then this is the Partisan Memorial at Yad Vashem, the memorial for Holocaust memorial in Jerusalem, and it's in Scorpio with Aries. Scorpio, of course, but Aries, you see the spike. You see the spire here with that is a Mars, a form that is strongly related to Mars and to Aries more than Scorpio. But both signs strongly relate to Mars in different ways. And Scorpio with Aries means be alert. Putting such a monument in that sign combination means it simply means be alert. Yeah. Then there's a giant seahorse sculpture in Belfast, located in Scorpio with Pisces, and this is the Fontana Maggiore in Perugia. It's a medieval, or most well, said to be represent Italy's most famous medieval fountain. Yeah. And you can see housewives instead of the nymphs, instead of the goddesses, or in the place of the goddess, they place housewives. Yeah. The creator of this work of art sort of did a caricature. There's a story behind it, because the fountain was built as part of the water supply system that was all the aqueducts of this led to this, 3 different aqueducts bringing water into the city, all centered on this central square of the city of Perugia, and that is the meaning of this pose of this housewives rule. Here is to tell us that it is possible that the housewives ruled and called for the men to build this water aqueducts, the water supply system for the city, to bring drinking and washing water into town, and to make life easier for the women. And Virgo with Scorpio, I don't know what you understand by this combination. But it's a combination of woman power, of housewives who have to be housewives, housewife slavery, and so on. Now there's another example, Frau Welt, representing the world at Worms Cathedral. Worms, the oldest city in Germany, and it has two sides. One allegorical sculpture has two sides. The one side depicts the world in the form of beauty, say, but the backside is full of snakes, frogs, worms, pest boils, and shows the two sides of life. Yeah? Like Scorpio is actually ready and willing to not to hide, willing to detect and find out and show. And finally, I have many more examples, but I just can't get along to I can't put them all in here. But the last one here is dignity. It's a statue commemorating the Native American culture, and supposed to show a native woman wearing a star kilt. In Scorpio with Aries. So yeah, so I recommend that if you feel interested, then look at the article every now and then. I'll be filling it up with more and more examples as time as I find the time for it. Okay, so yeah, thanks for watching my video.